Da-di-da-di-da-da-di-da. Da-di-da-di-da-da-di-da. What do you hear over the air? CQ serenade. So you don't know just what it means. Dust your shoes off, shake out your jeans. Get on your feet, jump to the beat of CQ serenade.
Well, welcome to this evening's telegraphy class. We're actually at lesson number 6. Yay! Everybody is doing okay? Good. Well, we've got a few more practice things tonight, and we'll try and make it fun for everybody. If anyone needs a headset, there's a cable over here. And if we get time, we may use we've got a Morse key over here with another oscillator that Gary has set up so that people can actually practice as well, if you wish to do that from where you're sitting rather than come up here in front of the cameras. So we'll get going. We said we'd add P, C, Q, and 3. Can anyone remember what P is? Yeah, and CQ? And of course you've got number 3. Yeah, so those are the 3 that we're adding tonight. And then the following lesson 7 will add Y, J, and L, and 4, which we'll get into in a little bit. So we've got a few practice what it sounds like. Of course, So that should be fairly easy. Anyone like to read those back? There's 4 groups of 5. How about the first group?
PCQ33.
That's correct. Anyone on the next group?
33PCQ.
Correct. And the next one has a nice rhythm to it.
3P3C3.
That's correct. And the last one has a good rhythm too.
Q3C3Q.
Correct. Great. Well done. So those are the ones that we added. And we've now got all these letters that in theory, we should know all of those by now. In theory. In theory. In theory. I like that, in theory. So I've got a few revisions for you. I've put together some words that are not obvious, but I think you'll find them interesting. Each group is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words, which makes it a little bit easier. And I'll start the first one for you. Everybody ready? Here we go. So that's the first group. And I've made it so that the words are meaningful rather than just nonsense kind of words. So anyone with the first word?
Geomagnetic.
Geomantic. It's not a word you're going to use every day, but don't ask me what it means, but it's a good word, I thought. Next word? Anyone?
Invocated.
Invocated, yes, invocated. And the next word?
Montage.
Montage, yes. Next word was easier, because everybody knows what the next word is. Anyone?
Voidance.
Voidance, yes, voidance. And the last one is pretty easy to recognize. Anyone? I'll send it slower for you. Are you ready? You can check it. Dogmatic. So that's words from Scrabble, I think. It's very useful to...
What was the next to the last one, Melvin?
The last one was voidance. Second to the last one, or the last one?
The second to the last one.
The second to the last one, I believe, was voidance.
Voidance?
Voidance.
Okay.
The process of
And then the next set of words, again, these are all 5 words. And these are a little bit easier, I think, than the last set. See how you do on that. And it's all just for revision. So that's another set of words. Anyone like to say what the first word was?
coinage.
Coinage, yes, well done. How about the next word?
COG something.
C-O-G,
And
N,
ends with an E.
ends with an E. Yeah, that's good so far.
Cognate.
Cognate. A-T that was in the middle there kind of thing. Cognate. The next one's a little bit easier.
Magnets.
Magneto. We used to do a lot with magnetos a few years back. And the next one's fairly easy.
Medical?
Not quite. Close. I'll send it again just so you... Here we go. Medivac. And the last word is fairly easy. Anyone?
Midtown.
Midtown? Yes, I heard someone say Midtown. Okay, the next set of words I think you'll find a little bit easier. The more common, I think. If I can find the cursor. Now, all those letters, I added the letter P. Just in case you're wondering if you've got any blanks, the letter P came into all those. What do you think the first word was?
Shipwreck.
Shipwreck, yes. Next word?
Ciphers.
Ciphers, yeah. And the next word? Starts with a P.
PE.
P-E, yes.
Turkish.
Turkish.
That's it.
Turkish. And the next word begins with an S and a P.
Spheric.
Spheric, yeah. And the last word was very easy. Whisper. Okay, another set of words coming up. And I'll give you a clue. Each one has an S in it. So, how did we do there? Anyone on the first word? Okay, I will send the first word again to you so you can double check what you have.
Fisher.
Fisher, yes. And the next word is after a movie, I think.
Shriek.
Shriek. And the next word is somebody on an automobile that goes like this.
Wipers.
And the next thing is to do, well, it depends on how you look at it.
It's what happens when you don't use the wipers.
It's what happens when you don't use the wipers, yes,
Right.
especially down 85. Nobody? I'll send that word to you again, see if you can get it.
Rex.
Rex. And the next one is if you go to Walmart, you get low something.
Prices.
Prices. Low prices. Good. And one more set of words coming up. And they're fairly easy. I think they're, yes, I think these are really easy. It is when I put it together, that's for sure. So there we had fairly easy words. Anyone got the first word? Begins with F and ends in S.
God, yes.
Firebugs. Firebugs. And the next word begins with F and ends in D. Figured. And the next thing is, you know, when you were younger, your parents told you how to begin at a certain time, otherwise you're in trouble. So what do you think they meant? Begins with C and ends with W. Curfew. And the next one is when lightning hits your antenna, usually you see one, I might see one of these. Begins with S and ends in D. Surged. And you see a lot of smoke, maybe. And the next one is a cartoon character, basically. Begins with S and ends in R. Super. Great, you did well. Now the next set is actually numbers. And numbers can be a little bit easier, but I'm going to just let it play out. It's got 5 sets, and the 5 numbers in each set. And could be any number that you should already know. I didn't throw any extras in. I thought about it, but didn't. So here's the first set. Anyone with the first set?
1, 2, 3, 5, 8.
Yes. Anyone with the second set?
0, 1, 2, 3, 5.
That's correct. How about the third set?
8, 5, 3, 2, 1.
That's correct. And the fourth set?
0, 2, 8, 2, 1.
Close. It was 0, 3, 8, 2, 1. And the last set was
8, 1, 5, 2, 3.
8, 1, 5, 2, 3. Great. Well done, Dan. And we've got one more set before we go on to the next slide. And this next set is made up of a lot of zeros, ones, threes, and ones, and I've thrown in the odd 8 and 5. If I can find the cursor. There we go. Are we ready? So, anyone like to give us the first set?
0, 1, 3, 0, 1.
Correct. Well done, James. Next set?
1, 0, 1, 0, 8.
Correct. Well done, Dan. Next set? Starts with an 8, ends in a 0. Has a 2 in the middle.
83210.
Correct. Thanks, Gary. And the next set? I'll send the next set slower for you. You can just double check it. And hopefully that came out.
17235.
I think I sent a 7. It was actually an 8, but it should have been an 8. But I sent 7. Correct. Well done. At least you recognize the difference, which is great. And the last set. Anyone with that? That's an easier one.
01310.
Correct. 100%. Well done, everybody. You did extremely well. Took me longer to put it together than actually play it. Okay, James, would you like to pass those handouts for us? Everybody should have a handout. Going to just talk a little bit about PROSIGNS and procedural signals from Morse code, just a little bit. And you can actually refer to the ARL website for these as well. That's up on the screen, but you'll also, Gary will send this out.
This is also, some of the stuff is also in the pages of this little blue book we got from the
Yes.
RSGB.
That's correct, yes. But I thought I'd just make a quick copy for everybody to have. These are some of the ones. We won't go through all of them, but basically, you know, you've got the BK for break, which we've talked about, CL for going off the air. These CQ, you all know what CQ is. Calling any amateur radio station. Some people send it as one CQ, and other people may space. It depends on whoever sends the sending. DE, this is from. KA, if you starting a message, that's from the beginning. You start with KA. KN, go only. So if I'm talking to a station and I end it with KN, I'm only wanting that station to reply. VE is understood. Common used CW signals, single ones, C for correct, K, invite any station to transmit, and you got N, no for negative, R for all received okay. Those are pretty standard, used by a lot of ham radio operators. And there's a lot more on the handout. I just didn't want to waste a lot of time in class. And then a lot of people say, well, RST, what's the RST? Well, again, I've given you a copy of the ARRL version of it. And sorry the copy's so not too good, but I've had that copy for about 40 years. It hasn't changed. So this is basically, when we say 599, it's for CW. You use the tone, the end, the last 9 there is usually mainly for CW. You don't use it for voice. You'd only use 5 and 9 for readability and signal strength for when you do voice. So those are the number. I won't go through it all, but you can read through this anytime, and if you've got questions, ask any ham radio operator, either Gary, myself, or any of the Tom and James may know that as well. And the other thing which isn't used very often is down at the bottom. If I'm sending CW and I've got a chirp on my signal, I haven't heard many ham radios put a C after the 599C. Very rare that you'll hear that. Or if there's key clicks, they'll let a K after the 9. But I've actually never heard anyone send that, to be honest, over the air. So these are all what the RST report is all about. And international Q code, you know, these are just some of them. QRL, if you go onto listening on a frequency and you want to transmit, it's always courtesy to send QRL, CWYs, and make sure that the frequency is free before you actually transmit. So you'd send that out. You've all heard of QRM, right? And QRN. QRO, increased power. QRP, decreased power. Some people are able to increase power and decrease power fairly easily on their rigs, but some people wonder how to do that. QRV, are you ready? And QRX, I will call you again at a certain time. Those are just some of the ones used. There's lots more. The Q code was introduced in 1909 by the British government to reduce the telegraph speeds. And when I did the maritime communications, I had to learn all the Q codes, and you were tested on nearly every one of them in the book. You had to know them. Luckily, we don't need them as much today. So the sheets I've handed out, basically, we'll talk about those. And on the sheet that I've handed out, the PROSIGNS are there, and you see them like AA, end of line, the top left hand, AR, end of message, near the top here, AT, used for the @ sign, like in an email. The thing with that is, unless you're sending a lot of @ signs, I would prefer you just use the AT, because I don't think anyone will remember if you send AT as one letter to write the @ sign. And there are one or two other things on this sheet that are very useful. The BT, the break, separation break between address and text, or between text and signature. But a lot of people use that between sentences as well as anything else. But you choose which ones you want to learn. The SK, out, clear, end of communications, I believe someone asked about that the other day, in fact. Thanks can be sent TKS or TNX. Depends on the operator. And of course, text, TXT. You use that when you're using your cell phones as well, right? TXT. So those are the useful ones that are out there for you. I thought you'd like a copy of those. So what we'll do is we'll start. I've recorded another QSO. We'll probably get time to go through this, and then we'll take a break, I think. It's a QSO between myself and James again, and hopefully it's going to come out pretty good. First of all, I got to find out where I put that, but we'll get going. Are you ready? So did anyone? So did you get that? Anyone? I'll send it again. QRL. So that's what we're talking about, QRL. So I've given you an example of QRL. So QRL, and the frequency is free, so we'll get it going with So, what did we have there?
CQ, 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 D, KN, 4GD, KN, 4GD, KN, 4GD, K.
Correct. So so when you're calling CQ, that's what you'll be sending. And hopefully someone will reply, and then you'll say, "Oh dear." A lot of hams first time freeze and just don't know what to do, but this is hopefully what will happen. So hopefully when you send CQ, you're going to get someone replying. And this time someone did reply. So can anyone read back what they think was happening?
Should have been KN, 4GD, DE, KN, 0, MES.
Yeah, they were sent twice, and then how did gnomes end?
KN.
KN. So basically, he's just wanting me to reply back to him at that point. So I'm going to reply back to him, hopefully. And I've had to split this into 4A and 4B, so it's in two halves. I'll play the first half and see how we get. Oops. So the tape kind of ran out then, so the QSO is not finished there, it's only half of it, but anyone like to read back what was sent? We can forget about the call signs at this point and just go straight to the text.
I think you were saying thanks for the call.
It says thank you, that's TU, and for, FER, call, and then
RST, did you use the RST? I thought it.
And then I put I used UR, your RST, and I sent a number. Did you get the number? Because that's what goes in your logbook, right? You want to be able to write that down. That's it. That's an important part of the QSO. When you're listening to it, you don't need to write it all down if you're receiving it. But when it gets to RST, it's kind of important that you write that one piece of information down for your logbook. Did anyone get the 579? James did. So you got 579, and then I stopped when I put my name, and my name is Melvin, and then BT, and then I paused it. Now I'll start the tape going again, so we can get that. So this is a typical kind of QSO that goes on. Okay, we ran out of tape again, but anyone like to start off with? Would start off with QTH. Is easily. Now, I repeated that, then a BT, and then did you get the next little bit? The next little bit should have been SKCC, and that's short for Straight Key Century Club, for those that know what it is. And number, and I gave a number 18729, which is actually my number. And then so, how, copy. And I forgot to send you the question mark after so, how, copy. And then gnomes D KN4GB, and it should have ended in KN, but the computer cut it off, didn't send it. So that would be my reply back to him. Now he's going to reply back to me, I hope. And we will now go to number 5, and James is going to reply back to me. Okay, and again, the computer cut a couple of letters out off the end of it for us, unfortunately. Does anyone like to start that one off?
KN4GD, DE, KN, 0, MES, RR, find us, FD, old man, OM, UR, RST, 599, 599, BT, name is James.
Yeah. And then he sent so, how, copy, and we forgot to send the question mark and a break at that point. Great, doing well. Now we're getting into the meat and potatoes. So we're going to the next one. Oh. Come on. Are we ready for this one? Oh, not supposed to do that. Okay, So, anyone like to start? Well, I want to start with a BK. We decided at that point we didn't want to keep backwards and forwards with our call signs, and we just went straight into the communications at that point. So BK. Anyone else? And then what we sent was Roger, Roger, Roger. Fine business, FB, James. Nice to meet you again, abbreviated a little bit. And then BT, and then the rig is a Kenwood TS520. And that's when the computer decided to cut it off again. We'll continue that sentence. Are we ready? Here we go. So I started that sentence with 3 V's just to see who was still awake. Got the 3's, okay. And then I repeated the TS520, then break, and then I said antenna, 80-meter dipole break. So that's a typical QSO so far. Now James is going to send something back to me, and obviously he's probably going to tell, you can reason into it at that point that he's going to tell me what his rig is and what antenna he's using at that time. So this should be the next one. And again, it's the computer split it up into 2, 7A and B on my screen. So that's where the computer cut it off at that point. The last thing it sent was WX. That's for weather. James was going to tell me what the weather is, but we'll get back to that. So if we start the conversation from there, anyone like to read that back to me, or part of it, whatever you got? It starts with BK and then RR. Anyone?
Like you said, he said his rig is, and I think it's the Yaesu because it ends in FT. The model number is FT, so it looks like maybe Yaesu something FT.
It's a Yaesu, use FT, and it's a number. He sent it twice, and FT840. And then he went on to talk about an antenna, the dipole, and then he was going to tell me what the weather is, but then the QRM was too bad, so we had to come back to that, which we will do right now. And here we go with what the weather is. Well, maybe. Maybe we won't. I should have plugged the mouse in. So we're getting close to the end of the QSO, and by this time most people are tired and have just about given up on the QSO and want to get off the air at this point. So anyone like to continue with the WX? It started back with 3 Vs just to try and get you tuned into it again. The WX. And what was the weather doing?
It was cold.
It was cold, but before then it was raining. Raining and cold. And then we had so, how, copy. And actually got a question mark in there that time, so it was better that way. So then he sent it back to me. So, and that the last part of the QSO, which you'll get used to eventually, is coming up. So, how do you do on the last part of that QSO? Yep, yeah, it did say 73s, but there was a little bit before that. Started off the sentence with the word test, just to see if everybody's still awake. And BK and Roger, 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 fine business, thanks for the QSO break. Hope to see you later, CUL that is, and 73s, gnomes, DE, KN, 4GB, SK, and that's when we finished the QSO. So that's a typical kind of QSO. That's basically how long it sometimes takes as well. And that's without all the QRN and QRM and noise and banging and crashing that goes on when you try to listen on the band. So that was in a fairly quiet, ideal situation. So what we'll do next is, we've got one more final message here, and then we'll see. So it's break time. We'll take a quick 10-minute break because I think everyone's brain's fried now. Well, our time has come where we have to start again, and pens and paper ready. We're going to please write down what you hear and we will discuss it. I've prepared some things for you here. Anybody would like to do some sending? We've got a spare key over here which we can pass around. Anybody today? No? Nobody want to go for it?
Come on, folks, it's not as bad as it looks. I did it last week and I'm still here.
Well, I'm going to send by hand this time. It's not automatic. I'm going to slow it down just a little bit because it would be easier for some people and fun for others. So I'm going to mix up a few sentences. I've got a couple of sheets. I will post this one on to everybody for you to practice. Some fun ones on that too. But I've got a few others as well which we'll start to send. And I stole somebody's pen. No, that's mine. I'm good at stealing pens. So are we ready? Okay, here we go. That was the first one on my list. It was fairly easy. It was a dark, unlit night with a period after it for those people that know what a period is, which is, that's the period. 3 A's, and then you put a full stop or a period. And the next one, here we go.
Curfew was from dawn to something?
Sunrise, with a period again after it. Want people to get familiar with the period. That's why I'm starting to send it and introduce it to you all.
Can you read that back again?
Yeah, curfew was from dawn to sunrise. All set, eyes down, here we go. Period. Second word again? Okay, here we go. to read that one back?
The house was something.
The house was
Unlit.
unlit
And
and strange. Now the next one might sound a bit strange for some because we haven't learned some of the letters, but here we go. How did we do with that one? Anyone got the first word?
The
Yeah. The what? The quick?
the quick brown fish swam over.
Yes. The quick brown fish swam over the dam. See, I said we hadn't learned all the letters, so I couldn't say the quick brown dog or whatever, or fox jumps over the lazy dog, you see. So I couldn't put all that in there, so I just changed it a little bit. So the quick brown fish swam over the dam. So here we go again. This one is easier. And we'll start that one. So, anyone like to start that sentence? Raining hard. Anyone like to continue? Raining hard, the wipers were quick to come on. Now, if you notice, a lot of these words we already covered early in the lesson, like raining, wipers, curfew, were all words we did at the beginning of the class. So some of these shouldn't be new to you, but it's just practice and practice and practice until we all go crazy. So here we go with the next one. That was quite a long sentence, but I think most of you will have got some of the words. Anyone got the first word? Midtown. What's next? Midtown was bleak, and the old man stood. Now you might have had a bit of problem with the next word, because we haven't covered one of those letters, but you probably got free, then said what's after that, and it was a Z, which we hadn't covered, but I threw it in there anyway. Freezing as wind blew. So I'll read that again. Midtown was bleak, and the old man stood, freezing as wind blew. So the letter Z, we haven't got there yet, but it might as well get used to it because it's used quite a bit. QRZ and other things like that. So here we go with the next one. That's lovely. Special events are rare in this area. Cool. Well, you're doing well, actually, so let's try the next one. One of these words we covered earlier today as well. How did we do with that? Sound of silence.
In the night was the last three words.
In the night, yes, was the last three words. The sound was like a whisper in the night. And let's try one more, and then we'll see what we are. How's everybody doing? And this is talking about the stock market, I think.
Was amounts the last word?
Amounts, yes. The prices surged to unbelievable amounts. That's what you should have. Or something close to that, I hope. So we'll do a few numbers. just so you can get a little bit more practice with numbers and see how you do with these numbers. I'll send each one twice so that you can get I'll send it once and send it again, and then we'll see how you do. Ready? That should be fairly easy.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. And I was going to send 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, but decided twice is enough. So let's see how you do on the next one. I'll send it twice. Everybody gone to sleep. 01528. That's a winner, that one. I like those numbers. We'll try another one. Are you ready? Are we getting better?
01380.
That's great, 100% correct. We'll try one more here. Yep, great. So I didn't send all these numbers, we didn't have time, but I will be sending these out to you all to practice anyway. It's good to practice. So next week, it's almost 8 o'clock, so I thought we'd better think about next week. Practice over the next week, the lesson for lesson 7, the Y, J, L, and 4. And do you remember what a Y is? You remember what the J is? Yeah. And the L? And do you remember what the 4 is? So everybody knows what they are? Happy with that? Learn that? Any questions for this week? How's everybody doing? Tired? Had enough? Could have gone on for the next hour if you'd like. But I think we're better call it a day. Everybody's falling asleep. I had a whole couple of more pages to go. Over-prepared. You're welcome.
Da-di-da-di-da-da-di-da, da-di-da-di-da-da-di-da. What do you hear over the air? CQ serenade. So you don't know just what it means. Dust your shoes off, shake out your jeans. Get on your feet, jump to the beat of CQ serenade.